Not that I'd ever be rude with you subscribers, but you simply have no need to know why there was no podcast yesterday. Oh, you can guess all you want, but I'm not saying nothing. I gotta have some secrets too, you know. We made it to 2023. In China, it's the year of the rabbit. And for the rest of us, it's the year Skull and Bones. The Secret Society of Yale, 322. The Secret Society a good number of our fearless leaders hail from. Yes, I'm talking presidents also. Now, how did I arrive at this? Is it mathemagics? No, because I hate mathemagics. Look at the year 2023. Remove the zero. Come on, people, it's just a placeholder after all. It doesn't do anything. I mean, if you have 5 apples and I come waltzing along and take 0 apples from you, you still have those 5 apples. So remove the 0 and read right to left, as Aleister Crowley would advise. And you end up with 322. That's the address of the Skull and Bones building in Yale, or at the Yale campus. Now, why am I trying to make a mound out of this apparent insignificant molehill? Because it's important to the legions of darkness. Team Evil loves their symbols concealed in plain view. Because it is the year 322, expect to see ever-increasing satanic activities for our new year just starting. And I'm just getting started too on Monday, the 2nd of January, 2023. Now, I encourage comments on my podcast. I read them all and respond. I received one on my last podcast from Phil up in Canada that I was concerned about. Let me read this to you, people, in case you missed it. Some of you don't read the comments. Why are you hiding in the dark? My goodness, maybe Henry will know why. Okay, right to travel, no license, no insurance, etc. Freedom of movement must be allowed. And Canon USA or Corporation of Rome, by the way, and go on and on. I responded and said, you think that I am hiding in the dark? Response came back, yes. Okay, so there you go. I take that serious, like I said. Now, it's a serious allegation. It would be similar to like being caught sleeping on military guard duty. Not a good thing. Seriously frowned upon. And the Uniform Code of Military Justice punishments reflect how serious command considers those so charged with sleeping on guard duty. So, is Spill's accusation about me valid? I must defend myself with a dramatic, no, it's a ridiculous charge. I'm going to tell you why. Now, while I certainly agree freedom of movement must be allowed, I mean, really, if the government can license the means we choose to go mobile, is it first the cars and trucks and then the bicycles and the tennis shoes? What I'm saying is issues like freedom to travel versus license to drive, while important, it is not my hill I choose to die upon. This issue doesn't even make my top 10 list of shit that is wrong in this world. In the past, I've known people who fought and raised these issues in court. For the very few successful people, usually got an unpublished decision from the lower court, which means I can't cite the precedent created in the unpublished decision in my defense. I have to start at the beginning, the bottom of the hill, so to speak, fighting at great expense of time and money all the way to the top. And if I win, well, what did I win? I get to travel around the master's plantation without a license, surrounded by millions of slaves that do believe they need a license, insurance, and vehicle registration. No, Phil, I'm not in the dark. I'm just a realist. I count the cost before I go out on a mission. I'm getting old, you know, older and wiser. Now, do you know how the vast majority of the slaves view the very few people that have won on the issues you've raised? I'll tell you, they don't see the winners as freedom-fighting heroes. They see them as fucking kooks, nut jobs, mental cases. And while it's tragic that the unwashed, mouth-breathing slaves don't grasp the significance of the victory, that being, if I don't need a license to drive, you probably don't either, just the opposite happens. The slaves say that kook thinks he doesn't need a license to drive. What makes that son of a bitch so special when we all have to have a license, pay our insurance, and register our vehicles, and better have good current plates on? Trust me, Phil, if someone takes this issue to trial in front of a jury, I guarantee most, if not everyone on that jury is thinking, how come this defendant doesn't need a license when the 12 of us jurors do? I wish it wasn't the case, but you're dealing with mind-controlled victims of public schools and mass media. I believe if the jurors were allowed to speak to the defendant, all 12 would ask, Why don't you shut up, quit wasting everyone's time with this nonsense, get a goddamn license like the rest of us, and move on with your pathetic life. Find something to do. Okay, moving on. Has this ever happened to you people? You're talking with someone with a smartphone, that they have the smartphone, on an issue, in my case, cutting firewood and splitting it when the weather's cold, and just like that, the person's smartphone triggers an ad for a manual log splitter. How cool is that? Keep in mind, the phone was just sitting on the table. Nobody in the conversation searched for anything. This has happened to me more than once, which is precisely why I was bitching about everyone's smartphone laying on the bar at the bottom Peter Pit the other day. I said, you guys are putting freedom and fun-loving people like me at serious risk with your always-on, can't remove the battery, active spying devices. Can you guess what I was told? Can you guess? Here it comes. If you didn't have something to hide, you wouldn't worry about it. I'm going to tell you, people. I'm going to tell you how I look at this. It is incremental, inch by inch, anything's a cinch, mission creep. An obvious, or should be obvious, goal of the masters of the plantation is to keep track of their cattle, especially the radicals like me who try and stir the cattle up. If you don't like the term cattle, though that's what they refer to us as, you can replace word cattle with sheeple. Now tie in smartphones with surveillance security cameras popping up everywhere, and I mean everywhere, and throw in advanced facial recognition, and guys like me soon will end up with no place to hide or operate from. Can't happen here? It is happening here. Maybe not full-blown in Willow City, North Dakota yet, but in the bigger metro areas, it's happening all right. Take a look at the recent events in Red China. Now, why do we want to look at China? I'll tell you why. It seems to be the proving grounds. That is, if they can pull it off there successfully, they will, sooner or later, implement it here. The Chinese people are getting fed up. They are pushing back hard. They are in a state of revolt, and that's a good thing. Wish it happened here. A good thing for most, but a bad thing for others. Let me just play this little soundbite for you.
People are going to push back, one would think. Just like they're pushing back in China right now.
In the southwestern city of Chengdu, protesters demand freedom. Freedom of press, they chant. Freedom of speech. In the central city of Wuhan, where COVID began, they break down the fence that kept them quarantined.
Boy, this is a horde of people, I'm telling you.
China was forced finally to lighten up on their zero COVID policy because the folks were tearing the country apart.
Wednesday, the government announced it's easing some COVID-19 restrictions where traffic and indoor dining resumed and shopping malls reopened. But during the protests, the surveillance state was keeping a close eye on potential dissidents.
The Chinese Communist Party is notorious for using technology to expedite its undermining of freedom and human rights in China.
The Chinese government seeks to identify the protesters even as video of the demonstrations spread throughout the country.
Yeah, that's the bad news, people. Okay, push back. Yeah, we'll release the standards a little bit. Yeah, you can go back to your bars and you can go sit in your restaurants. You might not have to wear the mask, take the pokey poke. But who's stirring the shit? Who's stirring up the cattle? Yeah, guys like me. You're putting us at great risk. So I guess, I'll keep this one short today. I guess I'm going to have to go out to my wall and install a goddamn light out there so I'm not in the dark all the time. People, I got stuff to do.